Okay. All right. Seth Jerue, coming up here real quick. Coming up here, Seth Jerue. Now, I have a question to ask you.
What's that?
Do you know that we have a tradition here at the GNA?
A tradition?
When it comes to our feature speaker?
No.
Oh my gosh. Who knows that we have a tradition here at the GNA when it comes to our feature speaker? Raise your hand if you know the tradition. One person. Bill Ames, what's our tradition here at the GNA?
Come from the back of the room.
That's right, we send our feature speaker all the way to the back, so Seth Jerue, you gotta start walking and get on out of here, man. We'll call you back here in just a second. No offense, my friend, we love you. Right? Alright. So let me just share a little bit briefly on how I met Seth Jerue. If I remember correctly, Seth, we met about 7 months ago at another event in the Citrus Heights area that our good friends Janice Jordan and Michael F. Rowe run, the Citrus Heights Networking Monthly Mixer. And, you know, after the end of the meeting, I got a chance to mix and mingle a bit. I met Seth, and I just really love his personality. He's really humble, down to earth, nice, and I'll say this is a nice, sweet guy, right? Who thinks Seth's a nice, wonderful, sweet, caring guy? Yeah. Right? Just really resonated with what we're trying to do here. I said, you know what, Seth, we want to help you. Let's find a way to, you know, get you some more exposure. And at some point, we want to hear you speak at the GNA because you told me about your personal story that night. And then I remember that we even, you know, ended up, you know, interviewing you on GNA DCN Member Spotlight. Those of you that heard it, he shared his amazing story there. So that's how I met Seth. Now, I'm going to read a little brief bio here, and then we're going to have Seth charging on in here like a raging bull tonight, Seth. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
Can you change personalities just for a night? Because you have a lot of energy here today, right? Just one time, right? Okay, so today's featured speaker is Seth Jerue. He is the owner of Seth's Cleaning Solutions and Organo Gold representative. And his presentation topic is overcoming difficult situations, why we must press on even when we don't feel like it. Who can resonate with that? Raise your hand. If you can't resonate with that, you're not human. Who can resonate with that? Yeah. Oh, everyone's hand's going up now. Now I just woke everyone up. You got to do that when you speak, right? Because you know everybody will fall asleep real quick, right? Right? People wait. Okay, so Seth Jerue is the owner of Seth's Cleaning Solutions. He's also a very honest network marketer with Organo Gold. Seth had a pretty traumatic experience when he was younger. He faced some pretty difficult challenges at this point in his life. Seth has an amazing story that will literally bring tears to your eyes. He will also discuss how he overcame this situation to be the successful business entrepreneur and human being that he is today. So with that being said, I'd like you all to please stand up and rise to your feet. Come on now, please stand up and rise to your feet. And give a big warm GNA welcome to Seth Jerue! You want to cheer? No, you're good, right?
I'm good.
You're good.
No chairs for me.
All right.
All right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys all being here and allowing me this opportunity to share my story and to hopefully bring some value to all of your lives. So, first, how's everybody doing?
Good.
One more time. We can.
Awesome. Good.
There we go.
Come on now.
Energy in here.
Give it up for Seth. Come on. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So, anybody ever deal with any difficult situations in this life? Or anybody dealing with anything right now in their personal life? Awesome. Well, I have a quick story to share with you, and then add some value kind of wrapped around that. So, basically, this goes back to my childhood. Just kind of share my DNA, basically. When I was 6.5 years old, this particular day that my mom noticed that my skin was pale like a ghost. And so she takes me to Kaiser Hospital and they take some blood tests. And they say, they have my mom sit down and they say, we're sorry to tell you that your son has leukemia. He has the worst form of leukemia there is. It's called acute lymphoblastic childhood leukemia, which attacks your white T cells. So you basically have no immune system. So they said we caught it early, but he needs to be administered to the hospital as soon as possible. And so 6.5 years old, very strong-willed, My dad said I would have taken on the world by the time I was 10. That's how strong-willed I was. Anytime he spanked me, I told him it didn't hurt. But anyways.
Were you lying, Seth? Were you lying about that it didn't hurt?
No. So, he just wasn't hitting me hard enough.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. So, my whole life changes. Very humbling experience takes place. I'm 6.5 years old. Don't know what the heck's going on. I'm being moved into the hospital. I check into my hospital room. And I have a gentleman from our church come in. And he comes to my bedside. He knew my diagnosis. I had a 50-50 chance of living. And he looks me in the eyes and he says, Seth, if you're going to die tonight, do you know where you're going to spend eternity? And I didn't really know the answer to that question. And he made it plain and clear to me that I had a relationship with my Creator God. And I made a decision to have that relationship. But did that make it easy? No, absolutely not. Because for the next 3.5 years, I went through massive radiation in my brain. I went through multiple stages of chemo. In 1986, when I was diagnosed, leukemia was a fairly new cancer, and I was actually a test draft for the chemotherapy drugs that were coming out for this cancer. At 7 years old, so I'm 6 months into my treatment, I'm at the circus with my family trying to have fun, and I have a grand mal seizure sitting on the bleachers. My parents rushed me to the hospital, and by the time I got to the hospital, I went into a coma. Doctors are frantic, trying to figure out what's going on. Kids all around me are dying from lesser forms of leukemia. And now I'm sitting here in this coma. They thought that they were going to lose me. They finally figured that the strobe light at the circus triggered this chemical reaction in my body. And then they had to go in and take the chemotherapy out of my body. And 24 hours later, I come out of this coma. So, to make a long story short, my grandfather was part of a very large organization called the Gideon's Association. And within 24 hours of my diagnosis, he had people around the whole world praying for me. So I definitely believe in the power of prayer. That's why I stand before you today. And so 3.5 years of spinal taps, 10-inch needles going into my spine, radiation, chemotherapy, all this stuff. 10 years old, I go into remission. And normally kids go into remission, and after a certain amount of years, they say it's probably not going to come back. But what happened with me was 12 years old, they bring us in, my mom and I, and they said, we don't know how this happened, but there's no cancer in your body, it's completely gone. So I was considered cancer-free at 12 years old. So I just want to see if I can add some value to your life, because we all go through difficult situations. You may not have gone through something like I have, and that's okay. But we all go through challenges, and they seem as heavy as something that I went through, and they can be life-changing. And the bottom line is, we have to develop our mindset, okay? Regardless of what our previous programming is, our previous upbringing is, we have to intentionally reprogram our mind. We're all in business. We're all seeking to be entrepreneurs. Some of us, are still working our job and trying to go through that transition of being a 100% entrepreneur. And it's very challenging. We go through a lot of challenges because we go through ups and downs with our income, and different things in life happen. But it really comes down to how you react to those situations. Are you going to press on? Because really, we have to begin with the end in mind, right? Our goals, they need to be written down. The vision needs to be made plain. Write it down, make the vision plain. And that is basically your roadmap to go back and look at when those situations arise, right? If you have little kids, or whatever it is that is your why that drives you every day to build your business, to set yourself free financially, to set yourself free from a job, and for somebody telling you when you can take lunch, or when you can, go to the bathroom and all these different things, or hey, can I go see my sick grandmother, or whatever it is, I personally, in 2002, was taught a skill of professional window cleaning. Now at that time, because of what I went through, and I was homeschooled from about 5th grade until freshman year, because of all the treatment I went through, I missed a lot of school, and I got held back in 4th grade, and then my parents pulled me out of school in 5th grade, and then brought me back up to the grade I was supposed to be in, and then I get dropped into high school, which was total culture shock. And that's a whole other story in itself. But in 2002, I was taught a skill of professional window cleaning. And at that time, I was very introverted, very quiet. Didn't really think that my opinion had value. And so I just kind of kept to myself. And so the thought, like the person that taught me how to wash windows told me if you want to build a business, then you're going to have to go door to door, and you're going to have to present yourself and try to get people to buy your service. And that scared me, you know. But I did it anyway. And you know, by taking action and doing it over and over, you conquer that fear, or you gain that skill. So I did it, you know, and I learned that you had to knock on 30 doors and you get a yes, or 60 doors and you get a yes, you know. And I went through this process, and then I learned, you know, the process of who I needed to talk to. And over time, I got better at the actual process of cleaning and transforming people's windows, and then you know, learning people skills and learning to, because basically what you're doing in life is you're selling yourself, right? And so you go through this process of developing yourself, developing your mind, developing your communication skills, or you develop your personal, you know, like working with people. People can be difficult to work with. But really it comes down to us, you know. Being self-employed, you're in business by yourself, you know, and some of us, you know, have support structures. At the same time, it's in us that keeps us driving on. It's in our DNA, and it comes through developing yourself. You have to be intentional about reading books and listening to tapes and listening to people that have paved the way before us, so that we can keep pressing on when we don't feel like it, you know, because there's a lot of times we don't feel like going on, but we have that goal in front of us, right? We have that end in mind. So I went through this process of learning how to become self-employed, go out and get jobs, build relationships. I started moving from the commercial arena into the residential arena, because me, I'm a person, I like relationship. I like the one-on-one relationship. That's why I enjoy doing one-on-ones with people, because that way I can actually connect with people. And that's why I got into residentials. I built relationships, and then I did a good job for them, and then they would refer me out, and then I had a steady flow of referrals. And then I got into doing big estates, and people trust me in their home. You know, I have people that actually, I showed up, they gave me the money, said, here's the windows, go do it, and left me in their house. So, you know, I built up the trust with people, and because of the referral. So we go through this life, and we deal with these self-limiting beliefs, right, that keep us from moving forward. I personally can resonate or relate with Les Brown. Many of you know who Les Brown is. And it took him 14 years to believe that he could do what he does now. And he's one of the top paid speakers in the world. Makes over $125,000 an hour. But it took him 14 years to believe that he could do that. You know? And so we have to be intentional to read the books. But not just read the books, implement the principles in the books. And then to overcome those self-limiting beliefs. To realize that we have this dialogue going on in our head. Because we can go to an event and get inspired, right? And then we can Then we go out to the parking lot, and we have, because we're in this event, right? And we believe, oh man, I can do that. Whether it's the guy speaking on stage, and we think that we can be a public speaker, or whatever it is, we're in that environment. And then when we step out of that environment and we go out to the parking lot, we've got this dialogue going on in our heads and say, well, you don't have a college degree, and you don't have credentials, and why would you think that you can do this? Why do you think that you can inspire people, or why do you think you can add value to people's lives? And those are lies. Those are mind viruses, and they're not reality. And those are the things that we have to overcome. And first, it starts with the awareness that this isn't the reality, and not to focus on your present situation, and to focus on that end in mind, right? Because that's what we're working towards. So, is this making sense to you?
Oh yeah.
Am I making sense?
Oh yeah.
So, we have to work on reconditioning our mind, because we have this subconscious mind that is constantly going, and it's full of all this stuff that we grew up with, the things that our parents told us or didn't tell us, values that they instilled in us or didn't instill in us, things that we lacked. Maybe we didn't have a good male figure, or we didn't have a good female figure, we didn't have the things that we needed growing up. And so we have to intentionally recondition our subconscious mind so that we can move forward in our lives, so that we can become better, and so that we can realize the value that we have to bring to people. There is a particular book that I highly recommend to people, and that is The Power of Positive Thinking. And as you read that book and you implement the principles, it helps you to change your perspective. It helps you to start thinking positively, because there's plenty of negativity out there. If I want negativity, I'll go watch the news. Right? There's plenty of negativity all around us, whether it's coworkers, and they're negative and they're talking negatively, or different relationship things that they're sharing with you. It's like TMI. So there's plenty of negativity in this world, and so we have to be intentional to wash out the negativity. They say it actually takes 17 positives to wash out one negative. So think about, Les Brown says it's a full-time job just conditioning yourself, just working on yourself, just developing yourself. And so I recommend that you develop your mind and you develop your communication skills, because they say when you open up your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So you have to develop and recondition your mind. So another thing that I wanted to share is I believe that it is imperative that we find a coach in life, whether it's in your direct sales business, whether it's hiring a success coach. I personally can speak from experience and say that 90 days ago, I'm not the guy that I was 90 days ago. I'm a whole different person. Going to events and dancing on stage, realizing, not even thinking about the fact that there's people all watching me, right? Doing stuff that I never would have done before, and then thinking back, but it didn't faze me. So hiring a coach really will change your life, because you need someone to hold you to the fire when you're not doing the things that you need to do that you said that you wanted to do to get from here to there. You need to have that accountability. You need to have someone that's going to push you and going to stretch you, and it's going to teach you to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because that is the only way that we grow. That is the only way that we move forward and become better and lead people. A lot of us are in direct sales. I'm in direct sales. A lot of you guys are in direct sales, and in order to attract the type of people that we want to follow us, we have to become that person. So you have to break down the characteristics of the type of person that I'm seeking in my business, and then you have to ask yourself, am I that person? And if you're not, it's okay. It just means that those are the areas that you need to develop to become that leader, to become the person that people want to follow, and become successful with you. So, the importance of having a coach. I'm always reminded of Les Brown. I refer to him a lot. He's one of my favorite mentors, along with Jim Rohn. But this guy makes $125,000 an hour, right? And he pays somebody $100,000 a year to coach him. Let that sink in for a second. So, if a guy that makes $125,000 an hour pays somebody $100,000 a year to coach him, then that means that we could probably use a coach, right? Yes. Because Les Brown says that he hasn't even achieved his greatness. He is still stepping into his greatness. And think about the value that he's brought to people's lives. I was just listening to him on the way here, and he said that he has helped over 400 people become millionaires. That's pretty good value that he's brought people. I mean, he could probably die now and be happy, And he tells this story about this woman that says, I don't want to die and have people viewing me with a scowl on my face. I want to know that I died because I brought value to people's lives, because I filled my full potential in life. Because we all have things inside of us. It may be a book, it may be a speech, it could be anything, but we have stuff inside of us. The wealthiest place on the earth, you know where that is? The cemetery. Because dreams, goals, aspirations, books that were never written, speeches that were never given, seminars that were never given, to give value to people's lives, never came to fruition. And then just buried there, 6 feet under. So I want some audience participation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready for you, Seth.
So repeat after me. I want to live, let's see. Live full and die empty. I want to live full and die empty.
I want to live full and die empty.
I want to live full and die empty.
I want to live full and die empty.
All right, one more time.
I want to live full and die empty.
Awesome. So, I'm getting to the end of my story, basically. But I invite you on the journey of personal development, because it will change your life. Hiring a coach will help change your life. Reading books will change your life. They say you'll be the same person in 5 years, except for the books you read and the people you meet. And so you have to be intentional about meeting people that can help change your life, that can help move you forward. If you're the smartest person in your group, you need to get you a new group. You need to surround people with people that are smarter than you. You look at the people like Microsoft. He didn't create that. He took an idea and he ran with it and capitalized on it. Henry Ford. A lot of these guys, they surrounded themselves with people that were smarter than them. They weren't the smartest one. No? So, I I invite you on the journey of personal development. I invite you on becoming better and adding value to people's lives. Because ultimately, we don't just sell products and services. We sell us, because within each of our company, there's thousands of reps, right? And why are they going to do business with you versus somebody else, right? Because we have some value to bring to them. We have some connection or some way to relate with people that someone else can't. So, there's one thing that I know about each and every one of you, even if I haven't done a one-on-one with you yet, is that you have greatness in you. Each one of you has greatness in you. Each one of you has potential that you're not living up to yet. And you don't even know what you can't do. Let that sink in. You don't even know what you cannot do. So, surround yourself with people that are going to stretch you, that are going to help you to see yourself greater than you are. As they say, if you see someone as they are, they become worse. But if you see themselves better than they are, then they become better and grow and become the true person that they're meant to be. So thank you.
You going to take any questions? You going to take any questions?
Sure. I'll take some questions. Anybody else have questions?
Any questions for Seth Jerue? Come on now.
Front row.
Who's your coach?
I know that one.
My coach is Michael Estes. Some of you may know him, and he has changed my life. I can say that honestly. But I'm not promoting me, but I am becoming a success coach, and I'm basically going to duplicate what I am going through. And if you don't stretch yourself, then you're not going to become better. I mean, if you want to achieve your goals and dreams, then you have to have some sort of accountability.
What's been your biggest stretch so far?
My biggest stretch?
And how has it made you grow?
Doing what I'm doing right now is a stretch. Dancing on stage before hundreds of people was a stretch.
Wow.
Just hiring a coach was a stretch, because you have to be willing to be coached. You don't just hire a coach and you just hang out. You actually have to do the things that they require you to do. You're hiring them because they know something that you don't. And I had to humble myself to do that. I mean, just real quick, being self-employed and reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, right, and understanding where you generate your money from, and the psychology that goes with each one of those quadrants is, like with self-employed, you think that you can do it all. I've thought that because I learned the skill of washing windows, and I thought that I couldn't find someone that could do it better than me, And it takes humbling yourself and saying, maybe that's not true. Maybe there's someone that can do it better than me, and is going to be happy doing that, and I can replace myself. So that's what I'm working towards, and that's going to stretch me. Does that answer your question? Right here.
So I have two questions. First question is, what book has inspired you the most? And the second is,
for me personally, the Bible. What else? I think Think and Grow Rich is a really good one for people that are going from being an employee to being an entrepreneur, because it helps you to understand the mindset shift that has to take place, and understanding where you generate your money from and all that stuff. Any other questions?
Have you read any NLP books?
Any NLP books? No, I have not. Maybe I should.
I think you should.
And you asked me what book I was reading now.
Neurolinguistic programming.
I'm starting to read The Power of the Platform. I just found that in a used bookstore. And I'm also I guess one of my most inspirational books recently is Change Your Life in 7 Days. Any other questions?
I just want to make a quick comment. The guy behind the camera here.
Absolutely.
First of all, fantastic presentation. Don't you all think that was amazing? And I don't do this a lot. I should start doing it more, but I want to personally endorse Seth because I think he's going to be a phenomenal success coach. Those of you that have networked in many other arenas have probably met a ton of success coaches or people claiming to be a success coach. If you're with me on that, raise your hand. Come on. Okay? And what I look at, we talked about this on the radio show, Seth. I just want to kind of, follow up on it here. That what I look for when I'm looking to work with a success coach or recommend a success coach is their passion and their desire. And for them to share their story and to come from a place of being vulnerable. Because if you can't be vulnerable with me, how do you expect me to be vulnerable with you?
Absolutely.
Especially when you're dealing with guys, because we don't like to be vulnerable, right? But that's what I look at, and that's why we put Seth on the stage here today, because just a phenomenal gentleman and somebody that I will personally endorse his services, because he's as genuine gets. So that's what I wanted to say, Seth. Thank you very much.
One last little nugget in regards to coaching is, like, the first thing that I did when I started my coaching was I sat down and I defined my definite purpose. And that was a stretch. Addie, you asked. That was a stretch. I knew, and I've learned over the years of window cleaning, I'm providing a service for somebody, and it is self-satisfying to take really dirty windows and then make them crystal clear. Unfortunately, some people actually walk into them because they're so clean.
Yeah. Wow, that's a compliment.
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment, man.
But I realized over time that I had more value to bring people than just providing a service. That I wanted to have an impact on the actual person and help change their life. And so when I sat down with my coach, I defined my definite purpose. And my definite purpose, I believe, is to help people reach their full potential in life. And so, going from point A to point B, which, however far that stretches. And the coaching that I'm getting and the coaching that I'm going to give is coaching the whole you. There's life coaches, there's business coaches, there's health coaches, there's all kinds of coaches. But, I want to coach on the whole person. Whether it's your personal life, and that's where vulnerability comes in. Your personal life, your business, what goals you have for your business, what goals you have for your family, what goals you have for your health. That's another huge thing is your health. Because if you don't have your health, you don't have anything.
Right.
I learned that one. That value principle.
Yeah.
So I think that's all I have.
Anyone else have any questions for Seth? Seth, thank you very much. Give Seth a big round of applause. Thank you. Debbie?
Wasn't sure Deb was going to jump up. Thank you so much. That was so awesome. Thank you very much. A lot of wonderful information. And yes, of course, health is number one.